Yes, in fact, we have a new commuter rail line. It's called the Red Line, which is a 32-mile line that's opening right now. We have two other lines that we hope to put in place that are in the process. We have a very, very good bus system, by the way. Interestingly enough, some of the highest percentage bus usage of similar cities in the United States. So for some reason, part of that's the young community, the university community supports that quite a bit. Lots of students commute. As I was mentioning earlier today, there are 50,000 students alone that attend the University of Texas, and there are 3 other colleges and universities in the area, and so those people tend to ride buses and feel comfortable doing so. The history in the Austin region was that there was an unsuccessful rail vote in 2000, in the year 2000. A large light rail program was voted down. A slightly more modest one was walked out in 2004 with very, very broad support. I think there was more community dialogue instead of sort of delivering the program as a fait accompli, here it is, take it or leave it. It was a more iterative process where, you know, we could massage the numbers, we could massage what we wanted to do, more public dialogue, and as a consequence, the vote in 2004 was a pretty resounding 62% vote in favor. You know, a very good, solid vote, more public dialogue, and probably a more reasonable plan too. I think it was probably a better plan than the one that was walked out in 2000. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. At least our experience is that it's much more of a dialogue. It really is, it's listening to the community, but it's also presenting alternatives. As I mentioned in my discussion earlier today, we go through a process where you know, data is presented, reports are perfectly open. There are public hearings, not in the public hearing sense of just sort of diatribes and open mics, but here's a presentation. Here there are costs associated with this, financial costs and social costs associated with all of this. There are limited resources. Your transit systems will inevitably have to reduce to some extent the amount of operating expenses they can pay on bus lines to support rail lines. Those are hard public decisions, and there are people that care about that. And so there's an open dialogue about that, and you know, opponents are listened to, and the process has to move forward. But it allows the public officials, the elected officials, to make an intelligent choice and also sort of pre-sell it to the community in a way that's real positive. So it's listening, but it's also a dialogue. The Austin community has embraced some lifestyle changes, more dense development, infill development. I don't know how much of that has hit the Central Tennessee, Nashville area, but we've taken community leaders to places like Seattle and Portland and Vancouver and shown them how dense development is really a very positive influence in some areas. And it isn't for everyone, obviously, but Austin has a very young community. The average age is significantly lower than most American cities and even lower than what is in Nashville. And people like that don't necessarily want a yard and a fence and a dog. You know, they don't mind living in a condominium project in downtown or near the central business district where you can get outside and walk to a restaurant, walk to a park, bicycle to work. And not that isn't widespread, but there's a great deal of that in the Austin area. And following that, it's easy to see how transit or one-car families more and more prevalent. Austin has a very big car share program. I don't know if they have that here, but program whereby it's operated in the central part of the city. You actually have a car that you can go out one every 2 or 3 blocks. You have a fob that you have. You scan it, it records that you're going to drive it for a certain amount of time, and it goes on your credit card, and you use a car temporarily. Very, very popular in the Austin area. And so those sort of changes help feed the desire for a robust transit system. The population is booming downtown. As I, again, in my program earlier, there are 10 current buildings under construction that are 20 stories or more in downtown that are entirely residential. A 56-story condominium project is almost topped out at this point. So more reverse commutes, more people that live downtown and work outside of downtown. The lifestyle is better downtown, but my job is outside town. So I'll reverse commute. Traffic's better. It's a nice lifestyle. And so that's an emerging part of the Austin demographic. So political leadership is probably a starting place. Business support in the business community is absolutely essential. You've got to be able to convince people that it makes economic sense. I personally think it makes sense because it allows your community to compete with others for new and emerging businesses. Company wants to relocate headquarters or offices, they're going to look for a place that is desirable for their executives to live. And you've got to have transportation choices, and you've got to have a robust transportation system to be able to do that. So convincing the business community and political leadership, and then patience. Honestly, it's a slow process. You can't snap your fingers and expect it to happen. It really is a slow and difficult process. Very good question. Some of it is political leadership. You need champions. I think any community needs champions to step forward and say, this is important for the community. Pat McCrory, the mayor of Charlotte who spoke earlier, it's a perfect example. That's somebody who's willing to take the political heat for benefits that are decades long. You know, he'll long be out of office when they reap the benefits of that. That's difficult for a politician to do. I think I would circle the wagons on the political side. You need to go to your political leaders and make sure that you know, they have some buy-in regionally. This is a regional solution. This isn't limited to Nashville. It's really a Central Tennessee issue. I think you need to work with your business community and convince them that this is of economic benefit to the community. The real estate community needs to buy in and understand that that having transit is a net plus. One of the nice things about rail to the real estate community is a bus line, even if it has positive economic value, and that's arguable, can move. If you put down tracks, you can pretty much count on a train or streetcar coming by there for the foreseeable future, and you don't mind investing in it. So some of that can appeal to the business community. Exercise some patience, and as I was saying, I think you need to visit other cities and learn by what they've done. A lot of patience, lots of persistence. I think you have some funding alternatives, and it sounds like that's out there. I would grab those alternatives, and I would put in a starter line. We use the expression in Austin, once people sort of see it and understand it, and you know, sit on a train with Wi-Fi, you know, and you sit there on a train for the same commute that you'd be sitting in your car, and it costs you $2, and you can sit and work on your computer and pop out at or near your office, the virus is out. And then the complaint is, why isn't it serving my area? You know, this is important, I like it, I get it, let's do it. DART, the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, has experienced exactly the same thing. People are knocking themselves over to try to have additional service to those areas. But you've got to have a starter. And I would encourage you to find, you know, a line that makes sense or a system that makes sense sort of modestly and push forward with it. It'll be several years before you're able to get it done. But